Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. As promised, back last fall, when I purchased some of these paints, I was going to compare a bunch of the more popular lines of artist grade gouache and mixing sets in particular of artist grade gouache, and then kind of round them up and see what I thought, and then do a ranking of them once I had all the reviews done. So all of the products I'm going to show you today, you can find reviews on my channel for. I've had a chance to use these and see how they held up over like almost a year, and just kind of picked away at them, and then yeah, you'll be able to see kind of what I thought after I've had a little bit of time or water under the bridge, I guess I should say. Because sometimes you like something right off the bat, and then the more you use it, you don't like it as much, or sometimes you don't like something as much, but then the more you use it, it grows on you. So this obviously is not a really comprehensive review. It's I'm not someone who uses gouache every single day. I tend to use it in mixed media formats, or I may start really watering them down and then adding thicker layers. So if you like the way I work, if you like my artwork, you'll probably find this review valuable. And if not, you may want to check out reviews from other gouache artists and see what they have to say about these brands before making a decision yourself. It never hurts to read or watch a few reviews of a product, because we all have different opinions, and yeah, you're probably going to want to align yourself more with the opinions of people that paint like you do or work like you do. You know, this is just another bit of information out there to help you make your decisions. So I'm kind of scattered going on this, because I tried to like line these up in order, and I realized, you know, I really have a hard time ranking these in order, because I find, honestly, they're all pretty equivalent. And when somebody sends me a message on social media and says, hey, could you recommend the best watercolor or the best color pencil or the best this or the best that, I really can't, because there's so many factors, like where do you live, how do you work, what do you like, what's your budget. I mean, that's going to factor in what the best for you is. So we're just going to jump right in here. I'm going to start with what I think is the best mixing set out of this whole bunch, and it is this, the Holbein Artist Gouache color set of 5. And this comes with primary magenta, primary yellow, primary cyan, primary black, and primary white. And if you can only pick one, even though some of these have more colors or larger tubes, I would say go with this one. One of the reasons I really like it is that it comes with a really handy mixing guide. So if you are not that comfortable mixing colors, if you feel overwhelmed by color theory, I feel like this makes it so very simple. Now this I bought for about $25 on Amazon, and I liked it so much, I bought another set. This is actually my second set of them. The prices were around $35, and I still think that's a great price, but at one point they dropped down to like $16, and I think that's probably when I grabbed my second set. I think I paid a little more than that, but I love the colors that are in this set. And the colors in this set are not in their other sets, oddly enough, the larger sets. This has a primary magenta, and let's see, PR 122. It has a primary yellow, which is it's PY3 and PY74. It's got a primary cyan, which is PB15. It's got your primary black, which is PBK7. And then it's got a primary white, which is, I believe, a titanium white, but let me double check. PW6, a titanium white. So it really covers the bases. And when I show you some of the artwork I did with this, you'll see that I didn't have any issues mixing anything. But part of what I really love about this mixing set is the literature that comes with it. You've got a full value scale that you could actually cut this out, and you could laminate it, and you could keep it in your bag, your painting bag, or tuck it in your sketchbook. You've got a color wheel that shows you how to mix a variety of different colors, and I really like that. I wish I kind of went in a little bit more with the brown, but you can kind of see how when you mix things across with their primaries, you get black. So what I like to do brown, honestly, I would take my yellow mix and I would add a little bit of the cyan and kind of push it to brown that way. But I had no issues mixing anything with this set, and that would be my pick, number one. First of all, it's not very expensive, it's not overwhelming, it's not a lot to have to store, and they just really did the best job, I think, with the mixing set. Now, I have to also say that Da Vinci, which I bought my paints on Blick and they didn't have the mixing set. I don't know if they do now, but they didn't at that time. They have a mixing set that has a magenta, yellow, cyan, black, and then 2 whites for around $30. So, and the 15 ml tubes like this. So that's probably also a contender, but I do find the consistency and the finish of Holbein a little bit easier to work with than Da Vinci. The only exception I would say is that if you want to pan the paint, like put it in a palette and dry it down, to go with the Da Vinci. But this is my pick. My pick, if you like, you just want a TDLR, give me the gist, what's your favorite? I would say this one would be my favorite, this particular set. I have not used any other Holbein gouache. I have not used their bigger sets. I kick myself that I didn't buy their big set of 24 when it was like an insane deal on Amazon, but I'm really happy with this and I don't regret that. This would be my #1 pick. After that, I would say my second favorite mixing set would be the Daniel Smith mixing set. So this is $40 and you get these 4 colors. You get a titanium white, an ultramarine blue, a pyrrole red, and a Hansa yellow medium. Now actually this mixing set goes really well with the Holbein one because you get warm versions of your complementary colors here. Now because it's warm versions of your complementary colors, your mixing is going to be a little muddier. But when you mix these two together, you've got a really great set. It's not going to be the cheapest version of how to go about things, but it is good. And I also picked up a burnt umber when I bought these. And by the way, I bought all these that I'm showing you here today. And I thought that was pretty good, but let me just I'm going to show you what the artwork I created with both of these sets. So let me first show you, let's do that. Let's show the artwork as we go along. I should have put little sticky notes in here. I think I'm ending up showing you in the order that I purchased them, maybe. Good grief. Okay, so this was actually the first thing I did with the Holbein mixing set. So I like the skin tones that I could get. I could thin it out and use it like watercolor, layer it up really well. I also did this with the Holbein mixing set. I did use some colored pencils on there. And then I did this with the Holbein mixing set. And those are just some little mixes I did with it too. Didn't have any issues making warmer reds, even though it's got magenta and yellow. So I had to make the red and with the magenta and the yellow. No problems whatsoever. The blacks worked really well for mixing too. I generally don't use black, but when you are in such a limited palette, a black will be handy. Yeah, I really liked what I was able to mix with those Holbein colors. I'm sure I have them in other things too, but I'm just trying to be as simple as possible. So then with the Daniel Smith, oh, I think I did the Daniel Smith first. That's probably back here a bit. I'm sorry. I did this with the Daniel Smith. This is a mixing wheel I did with the Daniel Smith. Now the colors are really rich and velvety and very earthy because they're a little more warm leaning. So mixing browns, I actually might have used the burnt umber on that one. Was very easy, and I did add the brown in here too, but you can see how these colors, it's a little bit more vintage looking, a little bit more warm, a little bit more muddy. I couldn't get a really nice bright teal because of the colors that are in there. You get the warm yellow and the warm blue are not going to make a really vibrant like tealy green. It'll give you kind of an earthy sap green, which is nice, but it's not going to give you that kind of like tealy green. So beautiful paint. It worked really well, very easy to control, very nice to water it down for the background, but the mixing capability was a little limited. Daniel Smith makes more colors. You can obviously augment that, and my friend Angela actually shared her paint with me. Oh, I'll show you how I put mine in this little micro portable painter. It panned down really well. I was able to reactivate it pretty well too. So that's another plus for the Daniel Smith. I think if you want to pan your paints, the Daniel Smith with the Da Vinci is the way to go. And my friend Angela she bought like all of the colors in the first release and she shared them with me, and you can see how well they pan down. This was like last summer she gave these to me, so it's over a year old. Very, very easy to re-wet too. So highly recommend the Daniel Smith gouache. It's probably the most expensive of the ones I'm going to show you, but quality stuff. I just think the mixing set, it's $40 for 4 tubes. It's not bad, but I think the Holbein one's a little bit better of a value and a better mixing set. So there, we've got the Daniel Smith and the Holbein out of the way. Next, let's see, what would be my next favorite? I'm gonna say, let's just go to Da Vinci. I don't think it's my next favorite, but it is one of those ones that I have to say, the more I've used it, the more I've liked it. So the couple artworks I did with the, good Lord, where is it? With the Da Vinci, right here. So this was the first thing I painted with it, and I used my normal technique of like watering it down and building up thin layers, and I loved it. No glossy spots, everything looks wonderful. This is with like thin layers, doing a lot of mixing. It worked great. Here, however, when I used it straight from the tube in some areas, I've got some major shiny spots. If I used it more of in an illustration style, I did not like it. So I would say that with the Da Vinci gouache, if you're working in more of a painterly style, if you like to use a lot of watercolor techniques and then build up layers, they're going to be beautiful for you. If you want to pan your gouache and keep them in a palette, maybe have a few gouaches, gouache colors in your watercolor palette that you're going to work with your watercolors, Da Vinci is going to be great for that. If you are an illustrator and you like to work with flat fields of color, they are not the paint to go for, in my opinion, because you have so many glossy spots when you use it straight out of the tube. It dries down great though, if you want to re-wet it, but it just, for an illustration aspect, not that great. Thinning it down like watercolor, like I did here in this little rainbow, works great. It's almost like watercolor, except it's a kind of a more matte looking watercolor. You don't have the luminosity that you would with, say, the Da Vinci watercolors. So this is all, like, I think it's a good paint. I like it more the more I've used it. I also used it here in this little sketch, and this is what I did. I made this little palette here, and I keep this in my travel bag, and sometimes I just tuck it in my pocket with this little sketchbook. But I put these colors in there, and they re-wet so well. That's what I did this with. They mix really well. They use really good pigments. These are also something I wanted to mention. These are definitely more of an artist gouache, meaning they're using more light, fast pigments. You can hang the work on the wall, and not as good for a designer aspect where, you know, you want it super flat. You want to be able to do flat fields of color. You're just making it for reproduction. So I would say that obviously any of these paints can be used as artist gouache. You just have to be careful of the pigment color, the pigments you choose to make sure they're not going to fade. But this one's definitely going to be more like a watercolor than any of the other gouaches. Does that make sense? I don't know. But I really enjoyed it. I also did this painting here with the gouache. I did use a little bit of watercolor, but it was mostly the gouache. And it worked out really well. I did that plein air. And yeah, it was fun to use, very easy to control. It still has quite a watercolor look because I thinned it down quite a bit, but no qualms whatsoever with that. And I like it more the more I used it. So I just want to, I want to caveat things because we all work differently. It's not, if you're doing like really cute illustrations where you need to have large flat blocks of color, I think you're going to be disappointed with Da Vinci. Although, man, I love the value of these because these big tubes are like the same price or less expensive than these small tubes from Daniel Smith. So it's a great value for money. You just got to make sure it's going to do what you want it to do, I think is the takeaway there. The next gouache I'm going to share is and this, I didn't buy this in a set. They do make a mixing set, but I've had this for a long time. So just caveat with that I've had these for a long time. M. Graham paints, I feel, are very consistent over their whole line of paints. I've tried their oils, and not a ton of oils, not a ton of acrylics. I've tried a lot of their watercolors, and these are the gouache colors I have from them. I think their mixing set is the primary red, yellow, and blue, and then a black and a white. And I've got primary colors of red, yellow, and blue, and then I've got an orange, a green, and a brown. And these actually I did not buy. They sent me these because I had done this charity painting event, and I had used their paints in this piece of furniture that I painted for charity, and then they sent me these paints as a thank you, I guess. So I didn't buy these myself, but I do love these gouache, and these are also really good for painting. They're very similar to the Daniel Smith. I would say that's what they're the most similar to, and I think price-wise they're probably right around there too. M. Graham is not a cheap paint. It's a high-quality paint. I don't think it's overpriced, but I did these two paintings on Canson, Talon's art creation paper. And they worked great. I painted those plein air, and yeah, they worked really nicely, and no qualms. I think they're great. I think they're a great choice. Very matte. They panned really well. I can show you because I have my portable painter where, oh, maybe, oh, you know what? I don't have them right here. But they panned really well. They do kind of shrink up a little bit, but they don't crack and fall out. They just kind of like will pull away from the edges and be like a little nugget of paint. So if you do want to add some paint to a palette that you want to dry down, they're going to work for you. But still, I would say Daniel Smith or Da Vinci are the best panners, but definitely those are right up there. The next one I'm going to share is, I've got some caveats with this. I think the paint is good. It's fairly affordable, honestly, whereas like these will start at $11 a tube. And I'm going by like what I paid or what I pay at Blick. These Winsor & Newton 15 ml tubes start at around $6.50 a tube, so they're almost half the price. These are a design gouache, so you really want to be careful about the colors that you pick if you want to be hanging these on the wall. Now I'm gonna say I like the paint. I think the paint is a really good value, but I don't like this mixing set as much as I did when I started, because when I started off, I painted this painting here, which I was pretty happy with, but my because it was a limited color, I had to mix my browns with using the primary colors. And then what I noticed over time, and this is just over a few months' time, is the red is leaching up from all my mixes. The red is leaching up into the white, and not the other colors leaching up, just that red. And the white that's included in this set is a zinc white. So the reason I'm not that keen on this set as a mixing set, or buying this set versus buying the tubes open stock, for one, it comes with this green I don't personally like. Maybe other people like it, but I would rather have just like a phthalo green or something a little bit more mixable. This is a 3-pigment mixed green, and it's just kind of meh. It also comes with a zinc white instead of a titanium white, and I was happy to have a zinc white because I didn't have zinc white in any other lines. But look, you can see here how all my white highlights, my snow, has leached any sort of red that I used to mix anything up through the paint, and it's really disappointing to see that. Now, if I was just painting something and scanning it and then not worrying about the painting afterwards, it wouldn't be a big deal. But to flip through my sketchbook a few months later and say, why is all this pink leaching through? Oh, it's because it's either because of something in the red paint, which it says PR170 is the only pigment in there, so I wouldn't think there'd be a dye that would leach through. That's like a naphthol red pigment. I think it's a zinc white. I guess I could do some titanium white highlights and see if they leach through as well. But I would say, yes, the paint is good, but I wouldn't pick this mixing set. I don't think the colors are the best for mixing. I have a full review on this. Yes, you can mix colors with it, but I feel like you have to be a more skilled mixer to use this set than to use this set. This set is simpler, and I think it's going to give you a better result, and it's cheaper. So I paid more from this. I paid like $34 for this, and it's cheaper now. But still, I would just go buy some open stock tubes of the colors that you want to try it out, because I think the paint's good. They've been around for a long time. I just think this set is not where it's at. The next set I want to share would be the Shinhan set. Now, I was thinking these weren't the best for panning, but I did still have this little makeup compact that I put the paint out in to begin just to test it out, because I don't squeeze out a lot of gouache in general, because I try to just put out what I'm going to use, so it doesn't crack and fall out and go to waste, because I tend to use gouache straight from the tube. But, oh, let's see if I can get this open. I just had it open. My apologies for the noise in the background. The girls are home on summer break. So actually, I mean, they did crack a little bit, but they stayed in their little pots, and I mean, they crack a little bit. They're not the best for panning, but they're certainly, if you had some left over on your palette, you definitely can reuse it. I really liked this set, and I was concerned with some colors in here, but the only one that faded was this violet, and I think the pigment code on this is wrong, because the pigment code is PV14, which should be light fast, and that faded, but all the other colors stayed great after after a few months. I don't know if I did a full 6 months. It was after a few months in my window, my full sun window upstairs. So I was really pleased with that. This, I paid $45 for this, but it's been $33 on Amazon, probably about a month after I bought it, which is nice because it's cheaper now. And then you can get a set of 24 of this set for with these 12 colors, and then 12 others for around $53, and then they've got another set of 24 for $72. No, I think it's 63 and 72 or something like that. Anyway, I love this color. I love this color scheme. You've got a split primary mixing set. You've got a warm and a cool of each version. This turquoise, honestly, I really can't have any qualms with this. I was going to say I wish that was more of a phthalo blue than a turquoise because it looks like it has a little white in it, but man, I didn't have any problems mixing anything here. I would avoid using the purple because that one did fade on my light fast test, but it's a great, and I laminated this onto the lid just so I'd have mixing space on the inside if I wanted to, like I could mix on the back. It's a wonderful set. I have no qualms with it. Let me show you some artwork that I did with this paint. I would say for value for money, if you can get those sets at the prices that I mentioned, $33 for 12 colors, that's probably the best value here. That one I did with the Shin hand, and it's also very easy to work with. I had no problems working with it. I started off with my loose, wet watercolory techniques first, and then layered up. Beautiful to mix with. It was just a joy to use. And then I used it for that, and I used it for that, and it was easy, intuitive. I recommend. I've been I've been thinking about buying one of their larger sets, the set B that has the colors that aren't duplicated by these, but I honestly, knowing myself, I prefer to use a more limited palette, so I haven't. I've just decided to stick with these, but I recommend these. These are really nice. Let's see, what else have we gone through them all? Have we? Oh, we have not looked at the Turner gouache. The Turner gouache is also probably one of the most affordable ones if you buy it on Amazon. I bought this on Amazon. I paid $34 or $36, somewhere around there, last Black Friday, and it was sold by Jerry's Artorama via Amazon. On Jerry's, this goes for about $76 currently. They have a list price of like $200 and something, so I don't know, you gotta take list prices on Jerry's with a grain of salt. But on Amazon, you really can't, you couldn't beat the price. The tubes are larger. These are 25 ml, so they're bigger than the 15 ml that you get like from most of these brands, but they're not as big as the 37 ml you get from Da Vinci. So just to kind of give you a little basis of comparison, the color selection here is really nice. There are some dodgy pigments on some of these, but I feel like the light fast ratings on the tubes are pretty accurate, but a lot of these colors are not light fast, so you'll want to, if you're going to get the set, keep that in mind. If you're using them in a sketchbook, I wouldn't worry about it, but if you're going to hang the work, I would think about it. As far as like a set that's got the most uniform matte flat fill color, this would be it. So if you're a designer and you want to be able to fill an area with color and you want that color absolutely matte, this would be my pick, honestly. I can show you actually doing my swatch right here because I just reviewed it. Very uniform. There's a few colors that are not opaque, but when you're painting with them, mixing with them, it does not cause a problem. Very consistent. I really liked painting with this. It was very easy to use. I'll show you the two paintings I did with these. What did I do with that sketchbook? Seriously? What did I do with that sketchbook right here? I did this one just with a Turner gouache. Very easy to use, started watery like I do, and so I was using my more like starting with like kind of a watered down effect and then building up as I go. Worked great. Very easy, very intuitive. Here I got a little too thick with the gouache, so I think that might crack, but that's not the gouache's fault. And then here I used it to kind of really pull together this mixed media piece, and I was able to get really nice detail. It flows really well. It's a nice paint. It's a really nice paint, and it's a nice value. You can get this open stock in 25 ml tubes. I think they have like 55 colors or so over at jerrysartorama.com. They also have 10 ml jars for like 10 of the colors, but it seems to be like the neon colors. So I think maybe they sell the larger jars for like glow-in-the-dark parties or something. I don't know. The colors they have in the large jars are not ones that I would typically use. But yeah, you could go, and if you go to Jerry's and you want to make sure you're getting light fast colors, you click the little note icon on each of the colors and see what pigments are used, and you can do your research and choose a set of colors. They also have a smaller set on Jerry's that's not on Amazon, that's 11 ml tubes, so they would be a little bit less than half the size of these, and they have a different color mix. I think they're probably more of a quote-unquote mixing set, and I think that's around $16. Don't quote me on that, and the prices fluctuate quite a bit, but that might be a better option too if you're not sure and you want to try it. You know, especially if you have another order going in there anyway, and you're paying for shipping anyway, or you want to get up to free shipping. But I really like these. They were very easy to use, and I think as far as maybe best pick for a designer, this might be it. And I think best pick for an artist, it's going to be either Daniel Smith, Da Vinci, or M. Graham, depending on how you like to work. So honestly, my advice is going to be use whatever is the most easy for you to find and the most convenient for you to get, because quality-wise, I think they're all fairly equivalent. I think once you get into the professional lines of any sort of product, you're going to find a lot of equivalency between brands, and it's just kind of like, what do you like better? Do you really want to put your gouache in a palette and let it dry? Or are you going to use it fresh from the tube? Do you want flat? Is flat color your most important thing? Is opacity your most important thing? If opacity is your number one thing, it must be opaque, avoid Da Vinci. If putting it in a palette is your most important thing, avoid Holbein. You know, I mean, you really have to just go by what is going to serve you the best. And once you choose your paint, just start painting with it. Don't go looking for other paint. Just start painting with what you have. And then if you feel like, oh, I think I need a phthalo blue, then maybe consider, maybe I'll try a different brand. All these brands are available open stock, so you don't have to buy everything from one brand. You can mix and match, and they're all going to work together. The only con I would say with the Turner is that there was a slight smell when I first squeezed out some of the blues. Like I think it's the binder. I think they use maybe dextrin as a binder as opposed to gum arabic, because it did have a little bit of a smell, and that might be why it's super matte. I think there's gum arabic, and there may be more gum arabic in the Da Vinci gouache, for instance, where it pans so well and you know, acts more like a watercolor. So, you know, little things. If you can't stand any sort of odor whatsoever, avoid Turner. And I have reviews on all these products on my YouTube channel. I don't think I did an overview on M. Graham. I didn't really do a review because the paints were like 10 years old or more, and I didn't want to. I don't know if things have changed over there, so you know, you gotta take that one with a grain of salt, but I do have more information on all of these paints. I recommend them all, to be honest, just maybe not the mixing set of Winsor & Newton. I would pick and choose your colors, but I do think they're a great value. I think they all are, honestly. None of these, I didn't feel like any of these were overpriced, and I haven't used Holbein because I feel like to get them here, they're kind of expensive. I haven't tried Talons. I haven't tried several brands that are more popular in other countries, but there's reviews on those. Sarah Burns is an excellent YouTube creator to check out. She has a big gouache database on her website. If you want more information, she paints with gouache all the time. Check out her stuff. She will definitely give you more comprehensive info than I can, but if you want my opinion, there you have it. And I am pleased to say that I'm liking the Da Vinci more. I think I need to do a kind of redemption review for them, but I'm going to use it more and make sure that I still feel that way after a while. But I think I'm done buying gouache, at least unless I'm just getting a tube here and there, because I've got a lot to get through, and I don't paint with it as much as I do watercolor. So I want to appreciate you. I do appreciate you. I want to thank you for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoy these types of videos. And until next time, happy crafting. Bye!